In a previous video, I mentioned how the portrayal and image of African people throughout history would shift between positive, negative, and neutral lenses. Many scholars would agree on the absence of color prejudice in the Greco-Roman world, an observation that may surprise many of us in the modern world. So today, I wanted to focus on a seldom discussed history on African saints in one of the more unexpected places of Europe, medieval Germany. What up, African world? It's Home Team here, and welcome back to another video of African history, culture, and worldview. By supporting this channel on Patreon, you're helping in the creation of these videos and contributing to this content. On Patreon, you can find more in-depth courses on African history. The link to Patreon is in the description box below. To begin, the purpose of this video is not intended to be a celebration of African presence or validation from foreign societies. The only intent is to highlight a little discussed portion of African diasporic history. The existence of highly venerated African saints in Europe does not imply a positive portrayal of Africans throughout all European history. As mentioned previously, the image of Africans dance between positive, negative, and more innocuous frameworks. So please keep that in mind. That being said, let's begin. Perhaps one of the most popular African saints in Europe was Saint Maurice. According to Christian legend, Saint Maurice was a high-ranking officer in a Roman legion from Egypt. At the time, Thebes, the city in which Maurice hailed, was the southernmost region of the Roman Empire ruled by Diocletian and Maximian. According to the story, Maurice and his troops were massacred by the Romans in the late 3rd century BC for refusing to participate in a pagan ritual, and after his death, his legend grew, his name eventually becoming highly venerated in Europe. Interestingly enough, even though Maurice was African, he had different portrayals over time. The sainthood and cult of Maurice sprang up in late antiquity in what used to be southeastern Gaul, the modern French province of Burgundy, and the western parts of Switzerland. There, and in medieval France as a whole, he was worshipped and depicted as a white saint, although he, a black African Christian, had suffered martyrdom as a leader of a Roman legion originally stationed in and recruited from Africa. Saint Maurice began to be revered beginning in the 10th century, being introduced by Otto I of Germany. From there, he became the most prominent saint of the Holy Roman Empire. Otto I founded the Archdiocese of Magdeburg with the purpose of Christianizing the Slavic ethnic groups, and a cathedral was built and consecrated in the name of Saint Maurice. It's absolutely incredible that this statue of Saint Maurice and that cathedral, built around 1240, unmistakably African in depiction, instantiated Christian civilization, moral uprightness, and order. The veneration of Saint Maurice was to last another 300 years until waning. However, a brief revival of the African saint appeared in the work of Matthias Grunwald. A painting portraying Saint Erasmus and Saint Maurice shows the African on equal footing with the European figure. Around the 12th century, Africans began to participate in nearly all levels of European society, and their portrayal began to reflect that. A century later, under Frederick II, during the medieval apotheosis of German cultural expression, we witness Africans becoming more and more visible. Frederick II gathered black Africans at his court in sizable numbers. By no means were they servants or menials only, but grooms and valets like their German, Italian, or Saracen peers, and equally capable of distinguishing themselves in the emperor's service, of ascending, and of filling high offices. One African named Johannes Maurice, or John Maurice, was appointed Lord Chamberlain of the Kingdom of Sicily. One of the most delicate depictions in Christianity is the birth of Jesus and the visitation of the so-called three magi, or wise men. These kings of the East journeyed to Bethlehem in order to visit Jesus and adorn him with gifts. The youngest member of the group, known as Caspar, sometimes known as Balthazar, was first depicted as white, but was later portrayed as an African saint in Germany. Scholars aren't exactly sure why this transition took place, but it became a more common theme. During this time, there were apparently ubiquitous discussions of the so-called Curse of Ham being associated with African peoples. However, German iconography was seemingly obstinate in its veneration of black saints. One scholar has a very interesting opinion as to why this may have been the case. Nothing of this pejorative sense of blackness is seen in the German iconography of the adoration of the Magi from the Middle Ages. Yet, why is there such German medieval interest in the Black Casper? The sole reason I can surmise is the universal symbolism which could be associated with the Magi theme. Its global dimension spanning all three continents with the express and realistic embracing of Black Africa may well have been felt to mirror the universality of the Holy Roman Empire of the German nation, or to put it more cautiously, its claim to secular and spiritual globalism and universalism. In the late 16th century, the Germans even portrayed a sister of Saint Maurice named Saint Vitus, but her imagery was later done away with. It's interesting how Africans were periodically championed and celebrated in statue and paintings throughout various regions of medieval Europe. This little-known aspect of history should be a reminder, especially within the diaspora, that the paradigms that have become so commonplace in our time may not have been in the social fabric of the past, and it's important to keep that historical perspective in mind. Well, I'm all out, guys. If you like these videos and want to help in its continued production, consider supporting the home team on patreon.com. The link is in the description box below. Know thyself, remember your ancestors. Peace.